everyone. You are watching NuPath Live. My name is Dan Harris, and I'm your host. Today is October 21st. And before I get started with a jammed-filled agenda for the half hour that we're going to share together, I just want to mention that as we think about NuPath Live and some of what we're trying to do here, we're using technology that is sometimes a little temperamental. And a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, this has happened a few times. Some of the images has disappeared, or the most terrifying is when you can't see this beautiful face. But we've ordered a new laptop that we need that's going to give us a little bit more power to do the things we're trying to do. And Greg said, "Oh, hopefully we'll get through this one without any breakdowns." So if you see the glitches, if that happens, just please be patient with us. We're working to correct it. And we'll get there. We'll get there. We're when you think about where we were a year ago and where we are now, we've made a lot of progress. All right, today's program with our continued discussion around vaccines, and I know this is probably to some people maybe a wearisome topic, but to me it is it's something that I think about a lot because I care very much about the health and wellness of everybody that works for us, and the people that attend our programs, and the families to whom our people go home to in the evenings. We thought it'd be great to bring on Sharon Pitts. Sharon Pitts, as you know, is our vice president of healthcare, and we actually interviewed her yesterday. She had a scheduling conflict for today, so we're going to start the first half of our half hour together, listening to that interview taped yesterday, and then we will go to Matt Johnson to talk about boosters and booster clinic. So we hope you stay tuned till the end. All right, let's watch the Sharon Pitts interview now. So today is the 20th, the day before NuPath Live, and we are pre-recording this interview because I'm going to be talking to an extremely important fixture of NuPath, and she hates me whenever I say anything good about her, but that's just too bad. Everybody knows this person, and it's been a while since we've spoken with her. Funny quick story. I met her for lunch a few weeks ago, and when I met her, she says, "Did I do something wrong? Am I in trouble?" And so I know sometimes I get the feeling that she deliberately avoids me, although I don't think that's 100% true. But these are not the favorite parts of her job. Yep, I'm talking about Sharon Pitts, our vice president of healthcare. Sharon, it is good to see you, even though we're not face to face. You're at the Martin Center now because you're down a nurse or nurses, multiple, and yes. So you're covering as usual. You're anybody who knows you knows that you've been an essential component of this organization for 20. What did you say? 23 years. So you were so young when you started, which is. You know, I mean, it went by in a flash. Families know you widely across all programs. Anybody that's got a child with a medical need, staff have great respect for you. You've been essential in steering us through this crisis of the pandemic the past year, and you've remained actively engaged. I thought it'd be good to have you back on to talk to us a little bit about some of the changes, things that are happening. First of all, we've been testing people now for quite some time. For a while there, we hadn't had any positive cases, but recently we have. Can you give us an update on kind of, less about the numbers maybe, but more about just, sort of what you're seeing in the testing? And we have had some breakthrough cases, haven't we? Talk to us about that.
Yes, in the last week we've had, last 2 weeks we've had a few cases, and one of the cases was the staff, kind of still came to work even though they kind of weren't feeling well for a couple of days. And so that's, even though we're in the morning when you come in, we do screening. Everybody gets a, self-check. How you feeling today? And that needs to be more reinforced, I guess, on our end to making sure that staff realize how important it is to really be honest with that.
So it's kind of crazy, isn't it? Sharon, it's crazy because we're so, for so many years, people took great pride in, I've never called it sick once in my life, and I'm going to tough it out. And especially now when the the staffing ratios are so thin. We have so many vacancies. We're having a hard time recruiting people, just as it is the experience in so much across the nation. And so people feel like they're doing a good thing. They don't want to, put their coworkers in a difficult situation, but then they come in and then it turns out they have COVID.
Right, and that's the education part of it, because we're geared to feel guilty if you're going to be sick, or you're not showing up, and that we just have enough staff to do what we do, and that's everywhere in the world right now. So just getting people to really understand that if you're sick, you're sick, and we can make do when we need to. So
these people. Go ahead. I was just going to say, these people that tested positive, that had the breakthrough cases, nobody's ended up in the hospital or died. I'm assuming. I think I would know if we had an employee pass over.
No,
but
the symptoms are body aches, chills, cough, a little short of breath. Some people a little dizzy. So it's still and it's a couple of people now. It's the first couple of days is the worst. So these particular people didn't have COVID previous. They've been vaccinated. So hopefully that that's the whole thing, that it was only a few days, as opposed to some people have long COVID that have been dealing with it, that got COVID before we had the vaccine. So
and nobody ended up in the hospital or on a respirator or anything like that.
No, and I'm hoping you're not jinxing it, but no. 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 But one of the other cases, I just want to mention this one, is because so if the other person, they were exposed to someone that was positive, and they weren't having any symptoms, and so they came to program anyways, and then they were tested after that person was positive, and they came back positive. So if you know that you've been around somebody that's positive, and you really should be tested before you send someone to program, just to be on the safe side.
You're being very diplomatic, Sharon. I appreciate that. But we have a lot of families that watch this. So families, if your child has been exposed to COVID or has any symptoms of illness or feeling, please keep them home. It's important as us asking our staff to stay home if they're sick, because it could possibly expose greater numbers of people, right? I mean, are you referring to one of our?
Yes, that's the thing, because you can't stress that enough. You're right. I am trying to be too nice about it, I guess, but stay home if you don't know.
And for anybody who thinks that the vaccine was meant to keep us entirely free of the illness, we know that's not the case now. But the likelihood of ending up hospitalized or dying from the Delta variant or COVID-19, if you've been vaccinated, is so minuscule. It's really minimal. So you may be uncomfortable for a couple of days, you're saying, but you're not going to face the impact that you would otherwise face. So all the more reasons to get vaccinated. So I want to thank you for that. I want to move on, use a couple of minutes of our time to talk a little bit about the boosters that we've been hearing a lot about in the news. And I think there's a lot of confusion out there still about who is eligible. Do you have to be over 65? Do you have to have some of these other comorbidities or other health, or do we qualify as essential workers? Can you talk to us a little bit about, just confirm once and for all, if staff that work for NuPath are eligible now for the booster?
Yes. Yes, the staff and the individuals that we provide services for, everyone is eligible to receive the booster vaccine. Most all of us got the Pfizer vaccine, which is great in our favor. So I did put an order in for the Pfizer booster for NuPath. So we're hoping that will be coming in within the next 4 weeks or so. I'm waiting for the actual date for a clinic. I would say that if if you're able to get the vaccine on your own, go for it. Get it, the sooner the better you get it. But we are eligible and we should be getting it. This virus is going to be with us for the rest of our lives. Just like the flu, the flu vaccine helps to ease the symptoms of the virus, and so more than likely the booster will be a yearly thing too. I know there's no talk of that yet, but more than likely.
Sharon, you talked about if you could get it, go ahead and get it. Sooner the better. So that's just, we're in a different situation now than we were when we got the first vaccines. Because when we got our first vaccines back in January, there were so few doses that the general public wasn't even able to get them, and we were part of a privileged few to be able to get them first because of our responsibilities working with a vulnerable population of people. So people couldn't go out and get it on their own. Now people can. You're putting together the clinic, I think, is important because there's some people. I hope I'm not one of the ones that has to get my booster at the clinic. I hope I'm going to get it before. That I shouldn't wait 6 weeks is what you're telling me. Show some initiative, go to a Walgreens, get your booster. But it will be useful for some people because if you didn't have the flu clinics every year, I don't think I'd ever get a flu vaccine. So for those people that might get missed, we still wanted to do it, even though there's many points of access or ways you can get the vaccine already. And if people don't know, is there a website or a place they could go to get some more clarity? Or
yeah, and I can give you that Vax Finder.
So maybe you have it.
Yeah, I can send it to you.
Maybe we can put it in the notes on when we go live with this, so that people have access to it if you don't know. And if they have any questions, they could reach out to somebody.
Yeah, they can reach out to me. I'm fine with that.
Oh, you okay? Good. I didn't want to offer that.
Absolutely. I've helped a lot of people do that. Also, you just put in your once you get onto the website, you just put into your zip code, and it'll tell you where it's available, and then you can make your own appointment. So it's pretty good.
Sharon, you've been such an important part. I've already said that a couple of times. Over the years, you have been instrumental in so many initiatives. When we moved the Martin Center, when we started the Martin Center over Sylvan Road, and then moved it again over to where you are now in West Cummings Park. You've been part of our walk event every year. You've been part of the Club 50 every year since, other than the first one. So that's like 4 years running. You've raised over $10,000 for the organization, and those are just the tip of the iceberg. I remember when I started with the organization, people were a little distrustful of me because I was coming from the outside and kind of like, who's this guy? Who does he think he is, kind of thing. And somebody said to me, the only person you need to worry about is Press Sharon Pitts. Because you've got high expectations. You care so deeply about the clients that we serve. You expect our staff to treat people with dignity and respect and to care for them. And I think you and I see very much eye to eye on that whole idea. So the only thing I really had to worry about in impressing you was just doing the right thing and following my own values, is how we take care and honor people. And I think that translates through in so many ways that I think has improved the healthcare outcomes for our population, and just general quality of life. I mean, the number of staff that you've indirectly trained and helped to instill some of those higher ideals and values, I think cannot be overstated. The importance of that, and you continue to see us through, shepherd us through this crisis. I remember one of the first online things that we did, you, Dan, and I were, I think, in the conference room. This is like March, 17th, and we just closed down. And I remember you saying, you didn't hardly have anything you could say because you didn't know anything really, but you were like, it's not too late to get your flu shot. Get your flu shot. And I remember going out and getting my flu shot, maybe that same night, because it felt like I knew this wasn't going to help me against this pandemic, but Sharon Pitts said it was a good thing to do, so I better do it. So I think there's a lot of people that really listen to you. We're getting ready to introduce our mandate for the vaccine. What would you say to people? I mean, in the last minute or so, do you have anything to say to them that maybe I'm still hesitant, that you think might move the needle at all, being the respected sort of veteran and statesman, whatever you want to say you are for NuPath?
I just don't want to lose anybody that really that feels like they shouldn't get it. I wish that everybody would get it. I understand people's, and I do respect people's right to not get it if that's how they really feel deeply. But in my heart of hearts, I wish everybody would get the vaccine, just so that you know that you're somewhat safe, and that we're not going to lose you to a COVID case. Can I say something on the flu vaccine? We're having another clinic tomorrow.
Are
so
we?
If you didn't get your flu vaccine, please come to the main building tomorrow between 10 and 12. Anybody can come. You don't have to be a resident or a participant or staff here.
So any family member that's in the area and wants to come can come.
10 to 12.
10 to 12. You know, we show our love to our stakeholders in so many ways, and vaccines is one of them. Sharon Fitz, thank you so much for setting that up, for your leadership through this crisis, for being on today, for helping so many people kind of see the way, including me, and understanding how we continue to maintain dignity and value of our population, even during this terrible, dark year and a half or whatever it is. You're doing a terrific job. We love you. Thanks for being on NuPath Live today.
Thanks.
Isn't she terrific? I love Sharon. You know, it occurred to me as I was watching that, she said we have the flu clinic tomorrow. I do believe she meant today. And so I don't want people scurrying around and showing up here on Friday, the 22nd, because I think it happened already. So that was an oversight on our part. You know, I hear in the news, you know, there's various, you know, demographic or there's parts of our society and population that seem to be more vaccine hesitant than others. And it seems that many nurses, which makes so little sense to me, but, you know, it's not for me to figure out, I guess. But we're so lucky we have Sharon and the team of nurses that we have that understand, that get it, that know why it's so important. Because I think that nurses, you know, one way or another, provide a model and exemplify for the rest of us, you know, what to do. And I don't know, you sure don't want to be getting your vaccine from a nurse that's refused one. It just doesn't seem to make sense to me. But we appreciate her guidance and her love for this organization. Okay, that was great. Now we're going to move on to the second section of our program today with Matt Johnson. Matt is also a longtime fixture of this organization. He's our vice president of clinical services. There he is. Hey, Matt.
Hello.
I'm glad we brought you on when we did, because I was getting ready to say how long you've been with the organization. If I had to guess, I'd say 23 years, something like that. But is that right?
Years, yeah.
I don't have that in front of me. That's just, I mean, when you hit 20 and then you're like, I don't even, I mean, that seems like so long to work in one place. Now you're in 23. I mean, do you think we'll make it to 30?
I hope so. Yes.
You're younger than I am, so you'll need to make it to 30 probably before you retire. And you're a prolific fundraiser. You've been on our Club 50 every year since we've done it, making you a Dynasty member and raising, approaching, I think, something like $10,000. That's huge money, and involved in so many areas of the organization. You've been featured NuPath Live at least 4 or 5 times, so you're probably pretty familiar to the audience. You're here today to talk to us about the booster, but from the perspective of how are we going to make sure our people get it, whether that be through the Vax Finder that Sharon Pitts mentioned, or perhaps a clinic, and you know, who should do what, and how you might go about considering, because we want to get people boosted. Is that a word? Do you say that? We want to get people boosted with the booster as soon as possible. So tell us what we need to know.
Yeah, well, great news is that NuPath does have a date now. As of last night, we have November 19th is the date for our clinic that we will be hosting. And I'll stress the same way I think you and Sharon did, that if you can get the vaccine earlier, get the vaccine earlier. It makes sense to go out and get the booster. And the VaxFinder website, it's vaxfinder.mass.gov, is a great, easy way to find a location near you it does offer you to search by zip code, and it will take you right to that pharmacy's website, and then you can register there. So if you're eligible to get it and you want to get it now, go out and get it now. Don't wait till the clinic. The clinic really is the opportunity for the people we support who, going to a pharmacy or getting out to get the vaccine booster is going to be a little more challenging. It's an opportunity for them to come and get it in the NuPath setting. And then really for our employees and, the people in our NuPath community who haven't gotten it yet, I think we're going to push the 19th as if you haven't done it yet, this is a great opportunity for you to get it. The booster's a important step, I think. We all hear about the waning, immunity from the vaccine in the 6 months window of time. And most of us that got the vaccine through NuPath, we are past that 6 months. So we're right in that window to get the booster shot.
Now, you said that you had went and used VaxFinder to schedule an appointment. Brett was telling me that he had gotten an appointment scheduled for his wife and one of his sons, I think for Monday. And so you've been through it. Later on, when we wrap up here, if we've got a couple of extra minutes, I did it too.
Great.
And I took some screenshots. It was really easy. And I've got my appointment for Sunday at 4:30, I think. But people will say, well, we're still having, these breakout infections or, people getting the virus. Some people are reporting that they're feeling quite ill. But you and I were talking before we went live today that the statistic, the likelihood of ending up in the hospital if you've been vaccinated is like something like 1 in 13,000. Was that right? And
yeah.
We determined that the chance of getting struck by lightning is 1 in 12,000. So you have more chance of getting struck by lightning than you do of ending up in the hospital if you've been vaccinated. Just the fact that people still don't want to get it it's just defies all logic to me.
Yeah, it's shocking to me as well. I think, I looked at some additional numbers before, and, we all saw that Colin Powell passed away and that he was fully vaccinated. So it brings up the question of if people who got the vaccine can pass away, why would we get the vaccine? What's the point? Well, I think the information that's missed is that for the vast majority of people that are passing away from the COVID after getting the vaccine or getting severely sick are people that have underlying medical conditions or are very old, the elderly. You are 6 times more likely to test positive if you're unvaccinated and 11 times more likely to die from COVID if you're unvaccinated. So the numbers are pretty staggering. Some of the numbers, when they looked at the summer where there were hotspots, the states that were really having a really tough time with COVID cases, they were, kind of matched the numbers we talked about, that you were virtually 0% chance of dying if you were vaccinated in those states. And, the people that were in the hospital ranged from 0% in some of those states to 0.06% of vaccinated people. So virtually everyone that was hospitalized was unvaccinated. Almost everyone that passed away was unvaccinated. I think the numbers are telling us that the importance of getting vaccinated, and then the importance of the booster. We don't want to go through the winter as our immunity wanes and we're indoors without getting that booster shot.
I think, back to the Colin Powell, I'm glad you brought that up. He actually had multiple myeloma, which is a type of blood cancer. I only know about it because my father contracted multiple myeloma in 2008. And what they do is treatment, and again, I'm not an expert in multiple myeloma, but they harvest the body's stem cells from the bone marrow, freeze them, and then they go through and they blast the body with this chemo that essentially kills every living thing in the blood, leaving you completely defenseless. I mean, no immune system whatsoever. But that's what how they kill the cancer cells. Then they reintroduce your stem cells, and then only then, months later. I mean, my dad, he could hardly leave the house for like the first year. So very susceptible, and that was before there was such a thing as COVID-19. So for anyone who's saying, well, he died of COVID, I mean, my dad almost died just of the multiple myeloma. Never mind if he'd had something like COVID that had entered his stream. So I mean, really, it's rare. It seems like the people that don't want to get the vaccine, point out these very rare cases of things happening and miss the reality that we're all so much more protected. But Matt, the other part of this for us is that as an organization, the more, even if we don't die or as you say, pass away, I should not be so vulgar, I guess, but even if we don't pass away or end up in the hospital, this is still a major impedance, obstruction to our getting back to business as usual. It's a major financial threat to us because as people are ill or forget being sick, even exposed, and then having to quarantine or stay away from program, not be able to come back and fill their shifts, that leaves us even more short-staffed than we were before. This is why we reached the decision that we are going to be issuing a vaccine mandate. I mean, you surely know probably more about that than I do because you're working so much closer to the programs and dealing with folks that have ASD and behavioral kinds of issues. And I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I think you probably agree with me.
Yes, I do. I agree. And I think that I see the burden when someone tests positive and the, time they have to quarantine and, people that test positive that don't know they have it, but then that fear of like other people you've exposed, to it. And I think that the more we can do to make sure it's not part of the NuPath community, the better off we all are.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And, I don't know in your travels if you know of people that are unvaccinated. We have spent so much time, and we're going to bring Dan Lannon on next week to talk, a little bit more about the specifics of what this mandate's going to mean. But hello, it is happening, guys. We've been saying that for many weeks. I don't want to hear when people learn of it. I need more time to think about this. There's been plenty of time to think about this. But as we've been approaching this, we've been trying to imagine: are there people that wouldn't do it in order to get $1,000 bonus, but they might do it to not lose their job? And that's the wild card. Other organizations like Advocates have done this. They've got, close to 2,000 employees. And I learned today that they had a 98% vaccination rate as of the deadline. We're really hoping that the employees that are out there that have not yet been vaccinated are going to see this as being, the final condition that gets them to roll up their sleeves and get that vaccine. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm just here. I'm talking at you. I don't know. I guess I just having somebody as wise as you on the other end, listening to me and nodding your head makes me feel like we're doing the right thing. But I believe we are.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Matt Johnson, you are always terrific to have join us. You're a great guest, and appreciate the information. November 19th.
Yes.
Is going to be the date. More details to follow. We thank you for your time, Matt, and take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right. Hey, Greg, do I have enough time to do this last bit? Do you think? Okay. We're going to fly through this, guys. So as I said to you, when Sharon mentioned VaxFinder, I said, let me find it. So if you can't remember VaxFinder, just go to mass.gov, click the COVID-19 button. But when I did, this is what I saw. And I said, well, let me see if I can just do it right now. So I searched for a vaccine booster date. I said I was Pfizer. The next thing that came up after typing in my zip code were these, and I lived not too far from 891 Main Street, the CVS there. Clicked on that. I said, okay, let's schedule. So I clicked the schedule. It took me to the CVS website. So you could also do it by just going directly to the website. I started to try to schedule, answer the simple questions. I haven't had a fever. I haven't had COVID. Put my date of birth. And continue scheduling. And of course, it's still stuck on the date of birth. So everybody's doing the math. Yes, I don't know, 54, I think. I wanted the COVID-19, but now I think maybe I should get shingles and pneumonia. I mean, I am over 50. I want to schedule a booster. Those are the options. So I said that. Then they wanted to know when I received my last, so I entered that in. It was right on my vaccine card, some information, things I should know. Maybe they had some side effects on that. The type of zip code where I was so that they could find the time for me, 891 Main Street. What available times might there be? I clicked on that. I got the last one on Sunday at 4:30. And then they had some insurance stuff, and then the rest was just entering in the information. I don't think we'll finish the rest of it, but it was just a few more guys, and I am scheduled for the vaccine booster for the Pfizer booster on Sunday at 4:30. We got this. We'll see you next week, and you'll learn what our next steps are. Carrots are gone, sticks are here. All right, guys, be well. Bye-bye.